Wow. Buenas tardes, Puebla. This is amazing. It took thousands of years for Christianity to spread through crusades, colonization, and missions to become the most practiced religion in the world. It took hundreds of years and several generations of scientists to convince the world that germs were how diseases spread. It took 50 years for the Gutenberg press, the first printing press, to find its way through Europe. In this rapid expansion, at the end of it, there were 1,000 presses in existence. And it took Candace Payne, aka Chewbacca Mom, 24 hours to reach 50 million people. There is no doubt that ideas and information travels faster in the internet age than it did ever before. We know that. That's a given. But what we don't understand exactly is why it does this and how it travels. Now, sure, a lot of people have probably dissected videos like Chewbacca Mom and tried to come up with all of the ways they think in which it got really popular, right? So all of the different pieces and characteristics of that content that would make it popular. But truly, can we reverse engineer this to turn it into another viral hit? Now, I'm sure you've heard plenty of people who said, buy my book or buy my services. And yeah, we can totally do this. But the answer to this question is an unqualified no. There's a reason why there isn't a simple answer to how things go viral. Certainly, there are a lot of characteristics that are similar in content that does spread, right? There's lots of similarities. However, there are a lot of pieces of content that are out there. There are a lot of ideas out there that have similar characteristics to that content that go nowhere. They're dead in the water. As well as there are plenty of outlying examples that go viral without sharing those characteristics. And pretty much every scientific theory, or pretty much every scientific study, as well as all of the data that we have available to us out there, has culminated in the answer that there is no single typical way in which ideas become popular. Now, being the sense-making humans that we are, we certainly have tried to find patterns in all of this. From Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point to even equating the spread of content to viral, so equated the spread of ideas to the spread of disease, some sort of neat and tidy, easy to package idea that spreads from person to person. We've tried to make sense of it. And certainly ideas do spread from person to person. And people influence other people. Yeah, that's totally a given. Absolutely. But what we don't know for sure is how this happens, and why is it those particular pieces of content? Why is it? Why is it one thing goes viral and the other thing does not without some sort of help? So today, let's explore a little bit about what we do know about why ideas spread. And I'm going to break this into 3 general categories to try to examine it. So the first of which is the audience. These are the recipients of the idea, the people that will take the idea and pass it along or not pass it along. Without them, there is no spread of ideas. So what is it that influences the audience to pass something along? Number 2 is the content itself. Is there something that's inherent in the message or the packaging of the content that makes something more share-worthy? And of course, finally, there is the media through which the idea travels. And of course, there is a big category that we're not going to talk about today, which is random chance, which includes everything that you cannot predict, you cannot control, you cannot even measure because it is so random. It's things like, oh, it was a slow news day, or if you hit send about 10 seconds later, it wouldn't have gotten in front of that one person who shared it to their audience, who shared it to their, and then hit the big node in the network. So let's start with audience then. So what is it that influences people to share, to change their minds about something, to take action? In his book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini has come up with 6 weapons of influence, and they are reciprocity, consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. So number 1, reciprocity. Reciprocity is the practice of obligatory exchange. For millennia, our lizard brains have been susceptible to the urge to return a favor or pay it forward. So we all know this one. Last year, Tim helped us move. And this year, Tim is moving himself. So we feel obligated to help Tim move. Now, Tim probably knew that when he was helping us, when he offered to help us move last year. Not saying that Tim was plotting or anything against us. But that's reciprocity in action. Number 2 is consistency. So consistency is the desire to remain committed to one's word or ideals. This is a human trait, once again, in the lizard brain that gets us, that puts us in a position where if we believe in something, if we've invested in something, we will go to the ends of the earth to continue to believe in that thing. Have you all heard of confirmation bias? So this results in something called could result in something called confirmation bias. And this is the idea that if we believe in something and there's contradicting information that is perfectly reasonable and sound, we will completely edit it out of our brains and even replace it with some batshit crazy notion of conspiracy theory in order to hold on to that idea. That's how much our brains want to remain consistent. Now, of course, there is a very positive side to consistency as well, is people support that which they help to create. And this goes into things like crowdfunding and crowdsourcing and that sort of thing, so it can be really positive. The next one is social proof. Social proof is all about looking to other people to help us make up our minds. And it could also result in something called information cascade. The information cascade is a chain reaction where we like something because everybody else likes something. And who's been in this scenario? You're standing in front of 2 restaurants. The one restaurant is full of people, maybe a lineup outside, and the other one has hardly any people. And what does your brain say? Your brain says, I bet the food's better at the first restaurant, right? Well, I've tried this experiment, and I'm telling you, we are victims of information cascade because it's not always the case. Number 4 is liking. Liking is intrinsically related to trust. The more we like someone, the more we trust them, and the more we trust them, the more likely we are to be persuaded by them. Now, to go back to Candace Payne, Chewbacca Mom. By the way, who all has seen the Chewbacca Mom video? Yeah, so most people in the world by now. When she started talking in her video, she was rambling and all over the place and just really human and giddy, and she was preparing to unveil this thing to us, and we liked her instantly. And then she unveiled the mask, And she was like, her laughter was infectious, and we liked her even more. And this is a big reason why this video got shared over and over again, because people really related to her unfettered joy. Number 5 is authority, which I call the fancy factor. This is the using expertise. So 4 out of 5 dentists say that you should use this toothpaste. Excellent. Well, maybe I'll use this toothpaste. That sort of thing. Number 6 is scarcity, which is the perception of a shortage of limitation of time or supply. So act now, or else you'll miss your chance. Or the doorman that says, sorry, you have to be a member, which makes you want to go in even more. Now, I wasn't really interested in the Snapchat spectacles, because I thought, oh, they're just like another goofy Google Glass. But then I heard they were in limited supply, and they were going to drop these machines, in random places. And now, not only me, but everybody wants to have them. Now, because this is a talk about the future of influence, I have to say that these particular weapons of influence haven't changed. And Robert Cialdini's book came out several years ago, and it's in like a 4th or 5th edition. And the things that and influence, like our lizard brains are going to influence us in the same way, going way into the future. But what has changed is audience expectations of the content itself, as well as the media through which it travels. In 2014, Variety magazine did a study where they asked US teens who influences them. And they found something really interesting. In the top 10 of who are the most influential, 6 of the top 10 were YouTube stars. Not traditional celebrities or musicians, right? There are a few in there, but not in the majority. So they did it again the next year. And what they found were 8 out of the top 10 were YouTube stars. These are, gamers like PewDiePie who are sitting in their bedroom playing video games and people are watching them for hours, or unboxing videos, that sort of thing, DIY, makeup tutorials by amateurs, just regular kids. And they chalk this up to a change in audience expectations. And some of the reasons cited for finding these YouTubers more influential were relatability, authenticity, intimacy, and engagement, which all pretty much map to the 6 weapons of influence, right? Consistency, liking, reciprocity, social proof. The only thing that didn't really fully map was authority and scarcity. But these still exist, they just exist a little bit differently as in the internet age. So when it comes to authority, 4 out of 5 dentists agree, Well, which of those 4 were paid by the brand? And I'd like to see your data, because I don't necessarily agree with that. But what we can trust, and what we do see as authority now, is personal experience. When it comes to scarcity, of course, these videos are free and open and available, and there's thousands of them. But now, what's scarce is attention, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. And if you think this is just something for teenagers or 20-somethings, it's not the case. It actually goes across various different ethnicities and age ranges and locations. Because if you take a look to the last presidential election, the more this guy got unhinged and raw and unpolished and unfettered, the more people responded to them, the more he resonated with the audience. And this represents 3 major content trends, which are authenticity, commitment, and relatability. So authenticity is the raw and unpolishedness, and it's everything that connects you to an audience. So this is you, and this is your audience, and the connection between you cannot be broken. It cannot have something in between you and the audience. You, with that direct connection, is what creates that bond. And a lot of traditional media companies, as well as advertising agencies and brands and Hollywood, have a tough time with this because they have built their business on polish and perfection and brand standards and all of the things that would get between you and your audience in that connection. And the content that they're creating is being rejected by the audience because they see it as cold and inauthentic. What they're looking for is this one-on-one, this human and intimate. And how you do that is you talk directly to your audience. You show passion. You show your humanity to the audience. Number 2 is commitment, which, once again, Hollywood and brands and advertising agencies have a tough time with as well. Because Hollywood's used to creating things in seasons, and agencies are used to running campaigns. These are not commitments to your audience. This is very short term. And the audience that we looked at before, are used to their favorite creators, their favorite YouTubers, their favorite online stars, putting out content every week. Some of them every single day. 365 days a year, no beginning, no end. They're super committed to their audience. And what you need, if you want your audience to commit to you, you need to commit to your audience. And finally, relatability. So it's sort of like stars, they're just like us. They pick up dog poop and they go shopping and they eat chips, sure. But it's not only just general relatability, but it's also being relatable to a very specific audience, a very specific group of people. It's about the rise of the niche. There never really was a mass or a one-size-fits-all, but it's especially true nowadays in the age of the social era. Anybody can pick up their camera and put content on the web nowadays. Next slide. Thank you. And so that happens, so that means that anybody with any topic, any community of interest, any background, any interest at all can be covered, even though before it was completely ignored by the media. So now you have the choice. You can either have the generic content that is available, and by generic, usually in North America, this means white, straight, English-speaking, Anglo-Saxon male, or you can have something that relates to you. And what are people choosing more and more? The web and democratization have given people a lot of choice. And now, of course, they're choosing authenticity, commitment, and relatability, which leads me to media. Now the media, the social media, of course, is meant to spread messages. It's super easy. If you can click a button, you can share. That's what it encourages you to do. Contrast that back to Louis Pasteur's days when he was trying to spread the idea of germ theory. He would have to hop on his horse or in his horse and buggy with all of his equipment and all of his data and go from town to town to town to try to sell his information in. Nowadays, he would just put a video up on YouTube, right? Or publish his findings to SlideShare to get it out there. Now, his problem wouldn't be how he distributes the ideas. Now his problem would be the competition with the immense amount of content that is out there. There's 1.8 billion pieces of content put up on Facebook, 500 million tweets on Twitter, 85 million photos and videos posted to Instagram, and 300,000 videos uploaded to YouTube daily. Every single day. Your idea, your content, your message has to break through all of that. And although there are no guarantees, you have a much better chance of reaching your audience if you're relatable, you commit to the long term, and you're authentic. Because today and into the future, your ability to influence is directly correlated with your ability to connect to your audience. Thank you.